Welcome to Fite Sports Uncovered. I'm your host, Mark Joubert, and it's a new year, new season of the show. And for many of you, your New Year's resolutions are all a thing of the past. What's the bet? It's got to be the case. And if it is, fear not. Today's show, our first show of the new season, of the new year, we're going to be finding a little bit more out about science, and in particular, science in training. I got one question on my mind. Is putting electrical pulses through your body now the new way to train? Come with me. We're in Sandton, Body 20. We're going to find out a little bit more about it. Let's go.
Excellent. And 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep it going, ladies. Come on. 5. This lady nice and strong. Excellent. Beautiful. 2. Keep it going. 3, 4. I love it. Excellent. 5. Let's go. 1. Make sure those elbows are nice and high. 2, 3. Excellent. 4. 5, 3, 2, 1, pull. Down we go. You want to feel it working down the lats and the quads. And 3, 2, 1, down. Beautiful form, ladies. Keep it pushing, nice and strong. And you ready? 3, 2, 1, down. Fantastic. Excellent form. Last one to go. And 3, 2, 1, down. Perfect. Okay, back down we go. 3, 2, 1, up. Absolutely perfect form. Nicely done. Back. 3, 2, 1, up. Absolutely fantastic work. Keep it going, nice and strong. And you ready? 3, 2, 1, push up. That's it. Engage the core, engage the glutes, and back down again. And 3, 2, 1, up. I love it. 1, 2, kick. Now, we're gonna go 1, 2, hook, hook. 1, 2, hook, hook. Perfect. Back to the kick. 1, 2, and kick. Excellent. 1, 2, hook, hook. Beautiful. That's it. And 1, 2, kick. That's it, Sky. Keep it going nice and strong. There you go. And hook, hook. Perfect. And let's go. Punch. 1, 2, kick. Excellent. 1, 2, hook, hook. Beautiful.
Right, so as regular viewers to the show, you'll know that over the last number of seasons, we've spoken to tons of coaches, trainers, athletes, administrators even, to find out what's actually going on in the sports space and what kind of training methodologies they're using and how they're keeping fit, and particularly the last year, how COVID and the pandemic has impacted upon them and how they've trained, how they've kept fit, and how they've gotten ready for competition. So right here in Sandton, Body 20, I'm going to chat to a couple of individuals and find out a little bit more about what Body 20, EMS, and that electrifying statement I made at the beginning is all about. Joining me right here in their home away from home is a man that I'd probably class as a little bit of a sports nerd, and I'll tell you why. Bachelor's in sports psychology, a diploma in exercise science, an honors in sports science, and a master EMS trainer and lecturer. Essentially, he's the Yoda of Body 20 here in South Africa. Neil Comfort, thanks for joining us on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
So first off, that question I mentioned in the intro to the show. First of all, what is EMS? And second of all, sending electrical pulses through your body, I mean, is that now potentially the new norm of training?
I think definitely so. The first thing I want to go through when we're talking about EMS, by the way, stands for electromuscular stimulation, or in our medical journal terms, electromyostimulation, or to stimulate the muscles using electricity, is that this is not as new as everybody thinks. EMS as a concept has been around for decades now, and it's been very much used in a rehabilitation sense from physios and chiros and bios, and essentially adapted into what we use it now as a whole body training method. So is it safe? I mean, the concern is always there. You know, I'm sending an electrical impulse into my muscles now. What about my heart? What about my organs? What about those kinds of things? Essentially, the frequencies and the intensities that we are operating at aren't high enough to activate your smooth or cardiac muscle, which belongs to your organs and your heart. And so we'll never have complications based on it.
But that obviously means that people with pacemakers, etc., they shouldn't be doing this kind of stuff.
Of course. So like any other form of training, we do have our contraindications as well. For absolute contraindications would be pregnancy for natural concerns, pacemaker, given that it uses a stimulus by itself, a neurological disease, given that we are activating motor neurons within the body, and then any acute injury or illnesses would have to be cleared by a medical professional first, of course. Right.
So let's get back. Electrical stimulation into those muscles.
Right.
It doesn't run that deep, doesn't put the bodily organs under any sort of extra stress.
Yeah.
As it is, life is stressful on its own. We don't need extra stress.
Right.
But I've heard this number thrown around.
Yes.
90% of the muscle fibers are worked via EMS compared to most of us going into the gym.
Yes, 100%. So that's actually leading to a point why I'm going to say it's safe as well. So to understand why it's safe and how we can activate so much of your muscles, you need to have just a little quick brief understanding of how your body activates its muscles by itself, okay? Your skeletal muscle system, all over your biceps, your triceps, your quads, your glutes, whatever you can think of, it is activated by electrical signals passed through your central nervous system. So essentially your brain and your spinal cord are sending out what we call action potentials or electrical signals through your nervous system and into the muscles themselves, which would then cause them to contract. What we are doing with an EMS technology like we use here is we are amplifying those signals directly at the site of the muscle, meaning we are mimicking the naturally occurring action of your central nervous system and just making it more effective, okay? Next thing is that your body is quite limited in the sense of how much muscle it could activate. We are limited by our mind to muscle connection. We are limited by our pain thresholds. We are limited by motivation. And essentially, we can't really activate those biggest and most powerful motor units in our muscles, you know, the ones that are responsible for giving you your true 1 rep max, quite effectively by ourselves. Simply because we do not have that mind to muscle connection, right? So to put it in perspective for the layman, your average person would only activate maybe about 40 or 50% of their targeted muscle fiber because of those factors, those limiting factors, mind to muscle connection, etc. Your athlete or trained professional would activate maybe between about 60 to 70% of those targeted skeletal muscle fibers, given that they spend hours and hours every day in the gym, you know, going through those same routines. With EMS training, we are generating those signals directly at the site of your muscles, which means we're not limited by the potential of your own nervous system. We can generate those powerful muscle contractions in those large motor units directly at the muscles that we need them to do. And that's how we get that superior muscle contraction, that 90% targeted muscle.
And in terms of that activation, that superior sort of contraction, as you're talking about, this business, this offering, this EMS concept targets literally 20 minutes.
Yes.
Essentially once a week is all that's really needed. Obviously, if you want to become really super duper Usain Boltish, you maybe do more than once a week. But for the average Joe, 20 minutes once a week is enough to really give yourself a workout that probably the average Joe is spending 5 days a week in the gym for?
Correct. So essentially there's two ways we can measure the quality of a workout, and one of them we've already discussed. That's your motor unit recruitment. How much of those targeted muscles can you activate? Okay. The second one is how we get that time factor, that 8 hours of conventional gym, and that's as simple as time under tension. How much time are your muscles actually spending contracting when you go to a conventional gym session? Let's talk about an average Joe, for example, just your normal, averagely fit person going to a conventional training environment for an hour. In that hour, he's gonna do maybe about 5 exercises targeted at one muscle group, because you know, you walk between equipment, you spend time on your phone, you talk to friends, etc. So you'll do about 5 exercises. Let's say you do about 4 sets of each, that'll give you 20 sets. Let's say you do about 10 reps on average, that'll give you 200 repetitions. Very easy math. And let's say on average, a quality repetition would be maybe 3 seconds long. You know that 2 seconds of eccentric, 1 second concentric. That would give you 200 repetitions times 3 seconds is equal to 600 seconds of muscle tension in one muscle group in 1 hour of gym. Easy as that. So let's compare that to what we're getting on an actual machine now. In one of our Body 20 strength sessions, the machine is, it's a 20-minute session, but it's only on for half that time because we work in 4-second intervals. So 10 minutes times 60 seconds gives you 600 seconds of muscle tension, not in one muscle group, in 8 muscle groups. Meaning essentially for your average Joe, it would take you 8 times 1 hour conventional gym sessions to achieve the same time under tension in your full body as you can do with just 20 minutes of EMS. And that's how we get that 8 hours of gym out of it.
So what we've seen here, what we've seen from a workout point of view, I mean, those straps, the sending of the electrical pulses into the muscles, it's not just for general fitness, it's not just for general strength. I mean, how does the EMS programs that you guys offer, does that help with regards to sports-specific athletes? Here I'm talking golfers, I'm talking football, and obviously for the benefits of the viewers of this show, combat sports athletes, because obviously we know they're fundamentally different to your bodybuilder or your general fitness freak.
Definitely. So EMS has a realm of application in many different areas, from rehabilitation to, like you said, your everyday individual just looking for general fitness, muscle tone, and so on and so forth. But more recently has come into the high performance environment. We've seen countless athletes over the years coming in and trying out the technology to see what it can do for them. And I suppose that's what I actually need to answer. What does it actually do for these high performance athletes? So one of the cruxes of high performance in almost any day modern sports is what we call fast twitch muscle activation. Remember those big powerful motor units that we struggle to activate by ourselves? Those are your fast twitch muscle fibers. And those are the things that are going to make you outperform your competitor, and not just in your short anaerobic sort of sports or your intermittent sports like rugby or whatever the case is, but even in your long distance sports as well. As far as applying to what we're talking about now, a combat setting, what's one of the most important things in a combat sport? I suppose you could say it's your speed of your punch. Obviously there's many other different aspects going, your technique, your grappling, everything, but your speed of your punch is obviously a very important aspect when you're in the ring with somebody. In order to improve your speed of your punch, you need to improve a couple of things. Number one, your starting force impulse, as well as your rate of force development. Both those things are heavily controlled by how much fast twitch muscle you can actually recruit and how quickly you can recruit it. By using the EMS technology, you are essentially training your fast twitch muscle fiber to activate a lot quicker and to reach peak force a lot quicker. So what is start force impulse? Starting force impulse is that amount of force you can give within a very small range of motion at the very sort of base of your movement, like your 1-inch punch from Bruce Lee, for example. Yep. We can improve your starting force impulse or your starting force velocity by up to 50% with good fast twitch muscle activation. We can improve your rate of force development, which is how quickly you reach peak force in your movement, by again up to 40-50% with good fast twitch muscle activation. And it's all about how we use the technology. It's all about the frequencies and the milliamps and all of those sort of behind the scenes kind of thing that we control, as well as your exertion levels during the routine that we help you control to achieve these kinds of things.
Well, there you have it, the technical side of EMS, and whether or not sending an electrical pulse through your muscles is first of all safe, and second of all potentially the new way to train going forward. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back we're going to delve a little bit more into what else is available if you happen to want to get involved with EMS training, and particularly here at an organization like Body 20. Don't go away.
Prayer is a privilege. It's a right given to us to approach the Father in faith and through His Word by the Holy Ghost. That opportunity that's given to us to pray is something the Father always wants us to seize. He always wants us to take advantage of the opportunity and the privilege of prayer. The Holy Spirit brings to us fellowship. It means a communion, a drinking together, a union with Him. We come into a place of relationship, a oneness, an inseparable oneness. And you ought to enjoy that fellowship every day. Every day. Our spiritual life depends so much on our communication with the Lord. When we take time off everything else and give Him our attention. He says, my son, give me your heart and let your eyes observe my ways. So we've got to pray because the spiritual controls the physical. Hallelujah. We pray on Mondays, on Wednesdays, and on Fridays, 12 noon as usual, and 10 p.m. Very important. 15-minute session, not too long, but very, very important.
Follow and pray with Pastor Chris on King's Chat and cause changes around the world today.
I worship you.
Right, welcome back to Fite Sports Uncovered. Before the break, you heard all the technical stuff about EMS and is it safe and not going to get electrocuted. No, they tell me you're not going to get electrocuted, so don't worry about that. Give it a shot. But if you're not sold already, the man that we're going to speak to now, he's an entrepreneur. He's a multi-studio owner. We're actually sitting in his home away from home. Heinrich Willis, thanks so much for your time. Welcome to Fite Sports Uncovered.
Thank you, Mark.
We've heard quite a lot about the technical side of it. We found out that it's not just for mom and pop, it's not just for the housewife that has got 20 minutes to burn. This, prime athletes, guys that are seriously, and gals that are seriously looking at taking their sports career to the next level, they could be leveraging off EMS technology, EMS training as an alternative training methodology to what they're normally doing. But let's find out a little bit more about Body 20 and what that's all about. I mean, it's fairly new to me. 52 studios around the country. I mean, the technology is not new globally. Tell us a little bit more.
Yeah, so I think there's close to 3,000 EMS studios in Germany alone. So it's definitely well accepted across the globe. It's new technology and a new kind of alternative in South Africa. We've had competitors that's been around a bit longer than us, but we've been here a bit shorter, and we've got 52 studios in South Africa, so by far the biggest EMS studio franchise in the country. Also the biggest recruiter of personal trainers in the country, for that matter. And
Whoa. That's a very bold statement. I mean, we've got other gyms, that red gym, that blue gym, that one that looks like a planet, those guys.
Correct.
You're telling me that your 52 studios here in South Africa recruit, I suppose from the perspective that none of those personal trainers actually work for those gyms?
Correct.
Okay, so it's actually permanent staff members as opposed to contracted workers?
Correct.
Okay.
And any studio can have anywhere between 3 and 6 personal trainers working in a studio. You multiply that by the 52, that's quite a high number. They're obviously highly qualified. Most of them's gone to university to study. They also go through a brand induction course which makes sure that they're properly qualified to train in EMS. You've met Neil. Neil's one of the very few master trainers in the country.
Yeah, we met Yoda. He's,
And he personally trains all of the personal trainers at Global. So yes, the guys are highly qualified. I did my shopping around when I wanted to open up a EMS studio, and from a brand perspective, a competitive advantage, strategic edge, the Body 20 just fits well.
Other than it being good business, and I know we spoke about that sort of in the build-up to this discussion, the concept of the boutique style training, because that's essentially what Body 20 and your competitors are all about. I mean, the big gyms of going into this massive warehouse, waiting for a machine, or in current climate, only a certain number of people are allowed. You're not allowed to use this machine, you're not allowed to use that machine, you must be this far away from that person, etc. This boutique style training, is this the future of mom and pop training?
So I think COVID's really helped us along here. We were able to open in level 4 lockdown, so even if we go one level back from level 3 to level 4, we'll still be able to operate and trade. We've got a network of nutrition doctors that we rely on that helps us be able to trade. We've got clinically obese clients that exercise with us. So with COVID being around, it's actually helped us because of it being more boutique, more one-on-one, low volume kind of training style. We're very strict in our protocols in terms of making sure that the suits are sanitized between exercise sessions, that the studio is fumigated and rinsed like once a month. And I mean, everyone's now migrating to the smaller kind of training style. So definitely COVID's helped it a lot. But as natural progression goes, we follow international trends. If you look at Germany, like I mentioned, 3,000 EMS studios. We probably, between our competitor and the independents, we maybe got 200 studios in South Africa. So massive capacity to grow.
Looking at the training programs on offer as a studio, as a business, if I was to start at beginner level, for me to progress up to what you term as your champion level, which is the sort of creme de la creme, operating at a very, very high intensity level, that's roughly a 2-year program.
Correct.
And what could the general customer, person out there watching this right now, what could they sort of expect to get when they walk through these doors? The kind of service, the kind of sort of impact, and then obviously for them, the output, because at the end of the day, they're coming in here to either lose weight, get fitter, get stronger, get faster, etc. What's the kind of sort of expectation that our customers, any customer, could expect?
So the full value proposition is, of course, also our competitive differentiator and an advantage. So what we've got over and above many of our other competitors, and I'd almost wager to say even the independents, is that once you join us, we put you on an in-body scale. The in-body scale gives you a full analysis of your body composition. It's a medical apparatus that, and you get that included in your contractual agreement. What you also get with Body 20 is you get access to a personal trainer every time that you come to exercise. We also don't have a fixed routine. We can do resistant band weights, we can do groundwork, we can do cardio, which many of our competitors don't offer. So it's cardio and strength training. And then of course you've seen the little bit of the boxing and the pads, and we've got that type of thing going also. Over and above that, when you join us, the nutrition doctors that I spoke about earlier is part of the package. So you've got a network of nutrition doctors that uses your in-body stats to redesign a meal plan specifically for you. And together with that, you've got a personal trainer, the EMS machines, which are quite expensive, but they are a lot more efficient than normal training in the gym. So, contractually you might look at the value seems fairly high, but if you look at adding in a personal trainer, a nutrition doctor, the EMS device, the time spent here, it actually works out to a lot lower than you would do all of those services separately or individually.
And essentially, you've got your own dedicated personal trainer every single session.
Correct.
You spoke earlier about the various facets that any client of yours, anyone that's looking either to lose weight, I would assume that is a large part of your clientele. You've obviously got the cardio, you've got the fitness side of things, you've got the strength side of things, and then as Neil was unpacking, very sports specific training can take place here, and for our purposes, combat sports specific training. All of that done under one roof, and obviously in various training sessions. So one training session could be strength, the next one could be cardio. How has that worked out? I mean, is that all electronically, technologically monitored?
Yes, I mean, if I can elaborate on exactly that, we've got clinically obese clients that have to come to us doctor prescribed. We've got a network of orthopedic surgeons and stuff. So when you've got older people that aren't very active, you can actually pre-operation come and get them to exercise, build some muscle mass before an operation. And because the machines, you don't really need to exercise, but it does help when you do exercise. When you've got someone that's post-op, can't really move their leg, but you still want to make sure that there's a muscle contraction and muscle build and prevent muscle atrophy. Post-operation, this is also very good. So weight loss, absolutely. We've had sports people with us before. We still have sports people with us. Swim schools specifically. My studio in Pretoria, Moreleta, as an example, we've got a swim school there, Royal Fins. they send their swimmers to us because swimmers develop kind of a lurched or a hunchback because of their pectoral muscles being overdeveloped. So we then focus on developing their back muscles so that the posture comes back straight again. So yeah, lots of that going on.
And in terms of the number of times an individual, I mean, you can't come and do this every single day.
No, absolutely.
What is the maximum?
Maximum is twice a week, and I think Neil might have explained it, but to tell you how intense this exercise can or cannot be, because obviously we'll dial it up per customer and per individual, but if we really exercise someone intensely and they can handle it and that's what they want, you measure a product called creatine kinase in the blood. That's a byproduct of exercising. If you exercise twice a week, it could get us close to a marathon runner's levels of creatine kinase in their blood. So it's an extremely intense exercise if you want it to be.
Well, you've heard it from the technical experts. You've heard it from the guys that literally are face to face with the customers every single day. But because we're about uncovering what's going on in the fight sports world, we decided, you've heard what the brand has had to say, you've heard what's going on in EMS here in South Africa, so we wanted to put it to the test. Unbeknownst to Body 20, we sent one of our people into their Ferndale branch yesterday to test out the process, to see if exactly what they've said is exactly what you, as a potential customer, is going to experience. Take a listen to this.
So I think the whole experience was really fantastic. From the initial communication, phone calls, follow-up emails, until I walked into the studio. They were professional from the get-go. The trainer was waiting for me. I had to complete some forms, which was already set out and ready, and taken to the back where I had to get dressed into the suit and strapped up and putting through the paces. Everything was really professional. I think, you know, from a personal point of view, I'd go back any day.
Well, there you have it. Our little secret, silent, let's call it snitch, here on Fite Sports Uncovered. Checked out exactly what Body 20 is all about, and you've heard it there. They've lived up to the expectation. We heard what they promised. We've seen what they've delivered. So if you're in the market, if you're needing to lose a couple of kilos, you're an athlete. Come on, guys, the Fite Sports guys out there, you know you need that little extra edge. We've been without competition for so long. Give these guys a try. Come and have a look and see what alternative training methodologies can do for you in your game. And for all the others out there that are just looking for a different way of training, electricity is the way to go. That's us for today. Join us next week. Until then, protect yourselves at all times. We're out.